This is the Wise Guy Radio Show, a podcast dedicated to educating and inspiring through conversations with today's top talents in the world of glass. We will be dissecting their journeys in hopes to deliver actionable content that you, the artist, can start implementing now, helping you grow not only as a creative spirit, but also a successful artistic entrepreneur. With a little organization, relationship building, and your artistic ability, you can obtain greatness. Climb aboard, whether an artist, retail owner, or enthusiast. We have a ton of fun in store for you. Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show. This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by Green Flash Glass. The Green Flash Glass logo is a symbol of quality because they take pride in their craftsmanship and stand behind their products. With over 15 years of experience and an amazing team of artists, Green Flash Glass backs up their work with 100% quality guarantee, friendly responsive customer service, and high-quality products at an affordable price. For more info, go to greenflashglass.com. That's greenflashglass.com. This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is sponsored by Mountain Glass Arts. Since 2002, Mountain Glass has continued to bring you great customer service with a knowledgeable and friendly staff. As one of the nation's premier borosilicate glass supply companies, they strive to cover all your glass needs. For more information on their history, as well as the up-to-date sales, check out their site, www.mountainglass.com. Hey, what up, everybody? Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show, episode number 59. This is Jay Michael, your host. Thank you so much for tuning in. Pardon my sniffling and stuff. For just kind of a preemptive heads up here, I am having a severe allergy day. Typically once a week or once a month or so, I get this stir up, especially here in Florida where our weather is constantly changing, going from 85 to 60, back to 90, back to 40, back to 100. And then all the dust and wind and all this shit really gets me going. So I apologize for any sniffles you may hear. I'm going to try and go through and edit as much of it out as I can. But so that being said, I'm going to try to just kind of keep it real and be transparent with y'all. Because I do have allergy problems and it fucking sucks. So once again, welcome to the show. Today we're going to be talking about this past week's basically trials and tribulations that I've gone through and some lessons I've learned in the process. Part of why the show has not been on and up to date, and also ways I've dealt with it, and hopefully I can pass the information on to you guys, and maybe even stuff you are already doing, which would be awesome. And but I wanted to start off by just saying, before I really get into the show, is just a big, huge hug and kisses and thank yous to everybody out there in the world that is tuning in to this show and has kept up to date and subscribed and left me messages and emails and all the feedback and has communicated with me. You guys are amazing and awesome, and just kind of keep motivating me to keep doing this. Even if you didn't do it, I still would be doing this show because I definitely enjoy and love having this opportunity to come out and talk about glass in the world and business, and share my stories and my trials and tribulations, and also sharing all the stories of all the other artists and guests we have on here, including those that are outside the field of glass blowing, but have to do with areas of our lives that we have to kind of think about, whether it's our health, the laws, business stuff with accounting, all that good stuff. I am going to be slowly getting back on track here now that we are getting into really busy season, which is kind of a fun thing because I should have had a bunch of interviews already queued up and done, but because of this past week's circumstances, it did not happen, which I'll get into in a sec. So this next couple of weeks are going to be fun with trying to balance out the busy time of the year and then also the shows and everything else. So if you guys can bear with me as we get through this together, and I'll just try to be as consistent as I possibly can. And the only thing I can promise is that I will have these shows and interviews out for you guys, whether I'm recording them the morning of, the night before, what have you, but they will get out on when they're supposed to get out. So, yeah. So, again, thank you for tuning in. So what I wanted to really get into was, kind of the concepts of what we're getting in here with Thanksgiving and being thankful and grateful for opportunities that we have. and for just our lives in general and all the positives that we have. And this past week and a half has been very interesting. Last weekend, I went down to LSD down in West Palm Beach and did a demonstration for them, which was a lot of fun. And I brought my digital recorder with me to record Courtney and Clint, which I actually will have them on here very soon. But I managed to, while plugging and charging my batteries for my recorder over at their house where I stayed for the weekend, I also put my digital recorder to the side and managed to forget both of those things, the batteries and recorder. And when I came home and I went to go record a couple of interviews that I had set up that I actually had been arranged for a while, so it was a little frustrating on my part and very embarrassing at the same time. So I wasn't able to get the shows recorded. So I was then trying to think about ways of recording the show through my other outlets that I have, through a couple apps that I have, and they just didn't sound right. And I'm really trying to make this quality sound as good as it could possibly be, especially with you guys having me in your ears the most of the time. And I'm sure listening to this and me sniffling and shit probably isn't sounding too appetizing, but again, I do apologize for that. But back to what I was saying is, I kind of forgot all that stuff and had a really frustrating time and was kind of beating myself up for just this, lack of thinking about my digital recorder and the show and whatever. Even though I was thinking about it, in hindsight, I just, it kind of just slipped my mind in a sense. And then, so not getting the shows out like I wanted to, and I did a best of, and it just didn't sound good. So I just said, fuck it, and just didn't put it out. I'd rather not put a show out than to give you guys shit content. So, I could sit here and talk to you guys for 3 hours, but I'd rather not do that. So I am today because I'm very thankful for having this opportunity to do this and be here, and also wanted to share my stories for the week and kind of some thoughts I had about it. So then the other day, I guess it was on, today is Wednesday, so it was on Monday. I was getting ready after my long week of fun, was getting ready to head into the shop and just getting set up actually for, I was actually in the middle of editing out the best of show that I was going to put out. And I got a call from my shopmate letting me know that code enforcement and the fire marshal was at the studio. And I kind of went into panic mode because last time I had an issue with the fire marshals, we were red flagged and shut down for like 4 months. And, lost a bunch of business, and it was kind of a shit time. And I immediately went back to that same mind state. Kind of freaked out a little bit and got a little pissed out loud in the house here. And my wife could hear me, and she just kept telling me everything was going to be okay and to think positive and to think positive. And, I hear that, but I don't necessarily act upon it. And then about halfway to the studio, I started thinking about the positives, what could come out of having somebody like a code inspector and the fire marshal in our studio. Because where we are in the complex, and I've talked to contractors about it in an industrial park, for the most part, we're able to do almost anything that we want in terms of setting up our space because we're not open to the public. Some of the area, like the businesses that are in our same strip that we're in, you wouldn't want to even walk on their front door. They're mechanics in older shops, but if OSHA walked in, they would definitely shut them down. And if you compare our space to their space, our space is very clean. Everything's up to par. If we were to have to go get permits and pull codes type stuff, we're pretty much up to code with everything that we have. So I wasn't too concerned, but it still kind of freaked me out. But the positives I thought about it was, well, I got these guys here. I might as well ask questions and have them point out to me what I need to change and make different or whatever. And long story short, what ended up happening is in our units, we had a couple of our tenants that were renting there actually living in the space. And because they were living in the space, someone else called code enforcement about it because it's illegal. And then that's why they came to the property. And just by chance, our bay doors were open and they drove by and they saw us and they're working. Or my shopmate Eli wasn't there working. I wasn't there yet. But anyways, so they stopped by and said, hey, what's going on in here? And they do annual inspections anyways because we have smoke detectors in our space, so they have to come check those. But long story short, we ended up being okay. Everything worked out perfectly. The code enforcement guy specifically said we looked great and told the fire marshal not to worry really much about what we had going on. He still gave us some recommendations of things we can do to make it better, which I'm always all about complying and improving. And so kind of the thought that I wanted to take from that was, for one, I immediately freaked out and panicked and became negative. The second thing was that my wife is always right because she said everything was going to be okay and for me to just chill the fuck out. And so I had to. I kept hearing her voice in my head tell me it was going to be okay. And that's kind of what led me to calming down a little bit. But really what it made me think about this whole week between forgetting my digital recorder and then this thing going down all within a matter of about 7 to 8, 10 days or whatever it was. Really put in perspective the whole idea of really stopping and being grateful for what is that we have. I had to really stop at it, even though it was in my car on the way to the studio, and just take a really, really deep breath and exhale, and then contemplate and think of the positives of the outcome that was going to happen with dealing with the fire marshal inspector, but also to take a minute and really think about what I have in my life and the positives that I have in my life. Worst case scenario, if we were to get shut down, what I would do, and knowing that I would still be supported by not only my wife and family and people that are renting from me as well, but also from you guys out there and in the world, as whoever the customers and or other artists and stuff. So it kind of maybe really stop and think and just turn inward and just kind of just be grateful for what it is that I have in my life. And when I did that, it really turned that whole anxiety, panic mode that I was in around 180 degrees completely, and opened my eyes to more of a positive attitude. The anxiety went away, and I just felt better about the whole situation, so that when I got there and was able to actually communicate with the code guy in person, it wasn't anything of panic. It was completely professional and in a positive manner as well. And I even told him that too. I was like, I told him I freaked out at first, and then things became positive. So, just some things to think about. But also, kind of a side note on that, just be careful for all you artists out there that have your studios, whether you are at home or out in a other workshop space. Just be mindful that if you are in process, depending on what state you're in, obviously as well. But if you guys do take safety breaks or have things of that nature on you or in the studio, just be careful, because you never know when somebody's just going to pop in. Again, we weren't in any violation. They weren't there to see us. They were there because of another situation in the space, in the area. And, if we were in there doing something that was deemed illegal, we could have been completely fucked, when it's all said and done. And when, I just, made us all really, again, wake up to the whole idea of keeping our personal stuff in our cars, and that if we need to take a break to go for a drive or even go back home if you live close enough to do what you got to do. And again, this also pertains to what state you live in too. Unfortunately, I'm in Florida, so we do what we got to do. But still, it's the whole idea of just being mindful and aware of what is going on, and kind of covering your ass, and also respecting those around you and your environment also, because, you yourself not paying attention and not being mindful about those around you could then get everybody else in trouble, especially if it's not your spot, if you're renting space. So just some things to think about there too. So that was kind of, my rundown was, as we get so busy this time of year, we forget to stop and smell the roses, and we just run and go. And, every day that we get up, I have my little morning routine I'm getting into every day. And one of the things I've been incorporating in my day and my mornings is just to stop for a second. And before I even check my emails or Instagrams or any of that kind of crap, just to stop and just be mindful about what I have in my life, and be thankful for my children and my wife and our house and a roof over our head, and my dogs, and the business that I have, and my family's health and my health. The list goes on. So just because it's Thanksgiving doesn't mean that that's the one day of the year to be thankful. We should be thankful every day. And even if Thanksgiving, I guess, really can initiate the habit or the routine or whatever you want to call it, to begin the mindfulness of really being thoughtful, but just to stop and just smell the roses, take a deep breath, clear your mind. And when the situations occur where negative things come in place, you're able to handle it in a way better fashion when you can stop and be positive and just kind of be grateful for what you have. It's a pretty cool thing, and you can really feel kind of a change in chemicals in your brain almost when it happens. It's kind of a weird situation. But so I guess that's about it for today. I just kind of wanted to cover some things. I kind of, I have a list of stuff I wanted to cover, and I kind of went over it. But just really the whole idea, again, of this whole conversation is just take your time throughout the day Stop and smell the roses. Enjoy your friends and family. Make phone calls instead of text messages. Tell people you love them through a phone call. Hear a voice. A voice is an amazing thing. Don't just text people. Even if you just pick up the phone and just call one person a day, one different person every single day. And even if you don't have a long list of people to call, you can just repeat that list the following week. That's not a big deal. And I'm sure those that you call and tell them you love them and you're grateful and want them in your life and whatever, they will also be very grateful for your gratefulness. So, yeah. So, all right, y'all. Well, happy Thanksgiving to everybody tomorrow in the country of America that celebrates this holiday. Thank you to everybody out there in the world is listening to this that is not celebrating Thanksgiving. And if you're listening to this show a week from now or 10 years from now, again, thank you for tuning in. And if you'd like to be a guest on the show, have any ideas for content you'd like to hear covered, anything's discussed, or just want to say hello, please feel free to send me an email at info@wiseguyradio.com, and that's info@wiseguyradio.com, and that's WYZGUYradio.com. Also, you can go to wiseguyradio.com and subscribe to our newsletter, which I am putting out with every show. And sometimes I'll be putting out some just random ones sporadically throughout the week. Also, on this coming newsletter I have with the show, there's a link for Toys for Tots, and I'm going to start a Toys for Tots drive with the Wise Guy Radio Show. And I figured to starters, I would just put a little link on the newsletter. And I'm also going to put a post on my Instagram with the link in my info, which is the Instagram page for the podcast is wiseguy_radio, and that's WYZGUY_radio on Instagram. And again, I'll be putting that Toys for Tots picture on there, and then the link will be in my bio as well. And then I'm going to be taking the reins of the website because my web guy is MIA, and it's getting to be very frustrating because I'm not consistent with things I say with the show and the website. I mean, so I'm taking into control of that before I find someone that is locally here that I can delegate that to. But in the meantime, I got to get the podcast or the website up to date with the podcast to make sure that you guys have access to all the information, the PDF downloads. I have a crap ton of PDFs that I've have created for you guys. The recent one I just did was the whole Successful Studio booklet, which will be available here this week. I'm going to put a little PDF download on this newsletter for it, if I can figure out how to make that happen. And just kind of some different things, some different inventory sheets and invoices and just kind of fun stuff like that. And again, on the website right now, under our resource page, you can go on there and download the little waiver form, which I recommend to anybody out there that's a functional glass artist that is mailing stuff in the mail. There's a redundant statement there, but just go ahead and print that form out and then put a form in every single order that you send out, stating that what you're sending is legal purposes, waiver form, blah, blah, blah. It's just a release for yourself. So, all right, y'all, I'm going to get out of here. I'm having trouble breathing, and we will see you guys on episode 60 on the Wise Guy Radio Show. Love y'all. And again, thank you so much for everything you guys have followed through with, and it's just been an awesome year so far. Y'all take it easy. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll talk to you soon. Love you. Bye-bye. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show. If you have any questions, comments, or remarks, please leave them in the show notes page area where it says comments. We'll see you soon. Have a wise night.